So, I will be talking about Osho. Osho was a spiritual leader who was born in 1929 and he died in 1990. He was just 59 when he died. Many people speculate whether he was assassinated or he was killed, whether he died of natural causes. That is a mystery to be solved. Nobody knows actually what happened with him. But he was a very aggressive man in his words, and he attacked on the dogmatic aspects of the religion. It did not related to just one religion. He attacked every religion that had dogmatic aspects. Still, the religion has dogmatic aspect, but that is a different thing. But when he was alive and when he was delivering his sermons, he made sure that people start to inquire about what is religion actually. And he made sure that all his disciples who paid visit to his ashram where he was living, well, he had established an ashram in Pune because he had been in USA for a lot of reasons. He had established a whole big city there, which was called Rajneeshpuram. But he got into brawl with the government, and the government had to send him back. So he came back because he was not given access to a lot of countries because of the controversy that emerged between the USA government and the Osho. Osho was a spiritual figure. He was not somebody who was making big claims, but he was just expressing his views that how a man should live his life. Is there anything wrong in being critical to the religion? And he questioned what is the real use or utility of a religion. Who has made religion? Is it the humans? Is there any utility of religion for humans, or humans have been made for religion? So that was a very straightforward question that he asked, and he asked from his disciples, and he left completely on the disciples to decide whether it was for humans or humans were for religion. He also questioned the fourfold division of the society on the basis of birth, and he told that what fourfold division is based on is completely wrong. We have misinterpreted the scriptures. Scripture should never be interpreted as per the convenience of humanity. If I believe that something is good for me, I will follow that. And I will use scriptures as the backup or as a justification. I don't believe that such things should be allowed. I believe that scriptures are there to guide us, to lead a good life, to lead a simple life, and to hold high values. This is nothing but an abuse of power. Just because we have the ability to interpret, we are just misusing the power that we have got, and we have been misusing it. And what have we done? We have caused problems. We have give emergence to problems, and the irony is that we have not been able to solve the problems that have emerged because of us. The birth of problems due to religion, I don't think that we have been able to solve those problems, and we have been giving birth to new problems. So this is what Osho was all about. He believed in searching. He never believed in adherence to a particular rule or a particular principle. He even told his disciples not to follow him, first to examine what I said is right or not. If you believe that certain thing is right, you should follow it. If you don't believe, if you have come on to the conclusion, and this is what actually Buddha's way of sermoning was. Buddha never used to give sermons and used to tell that you have to follow this certain or particular thing. That was the specific question that Buddha put forward before the disciples. And this is what a good teacher does. And he did it. And that's why when you give an option to the disciples, when you don't promote fanaticism, I think that people are going to follow you. And this is not about following a particular person as a leader or like a religious leader or look, religion has nothing to do with spirituality. This is a very clear fact that everyone should know. If I say that religion is related to spirituality, then I think we have gone to the wrong side. We need to come on the track, and that to the particular track which is right. Because if I have to know what I am, I don't need religion. I am not opposing religion. Religion is something which is a necessity of human life because it defines and it protects human from getting into wrong direction. So this is what I believe religion and spirituality are. We need to have a defined area, and we need to examine by ourselves. We don't need to rely on anybody in order to find out what is right and what is wrong. We can take guidance. There is nothing wrong in taking guidance. And I believe that this is what leaders in field of religion or spirituality should do. They should not become demigods. The problem with us is that we start to worship a particular person. This is what happens with us. And I believe that if somebody is following a person as a demigod, I believe that in no time that person will become equivalent to the god, and that should not happen. A human cannot be a god. And that is completely a different field where what is the philosophy of Jainism, what does Buddhism say. Eso dhammo sanatano, that means a man is born to be a god, but that doesn't mean that you start telling people that this is what you should do. I think direction should not be provided by a human to another human. Everybody has born independent to each other. We should realize this fact. This is a fact. Why does slavery happen in any part of the world? It happens because we try to assert force, we try to subjugate other, we try to assert that we are superior to you and you are inferior to us. We try to establish inequality in the society, but that doesn't help ultimately. And in the longer term, what do we get to see? We get to see rebellion, we get to see campaigns, we get to see a conflict, a mutiny. And this has been happening not in the modern time. In the ancient period also such things have happened, and this will continue to happen. This is merely an illusion that if I am doing this, no sorts of thing will happen. This is a wrong belief, and it is just a matter of time. What happens that a belief can easily be busted. and beliefs have been busted out by a lot of incidents which happen to bust the belief that one has. So I will come to the next topic, that is rainfall in China. Yes, China has been witnessing rainfall, and this has related. This is not just about the rainfall. This is about floodings which have taken place. Most of the cities in China have witnessed floods, and this has caused loss of property. Many people have died, but we don't get to see about such news, about such events on national TV, because one thing is that, firstly, the thing is that China doesn't reveal what happens inside the territory. Within the territory, what happens, the China never reveals. China believes that national affairs should not be informed to the international news channels, so they do not allow international news channels to come in. So very few news we get to know, and that probably because of the policies that China has been following. And this has become a major problem, the floodings. Floods in China, floods happened in Himachal, in India also. Every in every monsoon we get to witness such events. Many people die, and this is because of the mismanagement in the affairs of the management of the disaster. We have been a failure in managing disaster affairs, and flooding is not, I think, god a god's act. It is man made. We got to realize this fact that if there is a probability of floodings, 30% could be because of the act of god, but 70% it is because of humans activities. Human activities have led to this situation. We need to realize this fact. We have been constructing cities, but we do not focus on the drainage pattern. We do not we do not take care of the drainage system of the city, and that leads to clogging, that leads to jamming of the drainage system, and ultimately it leads to flood. Even if we witness normal amount of rainfall in a particular place, after 2 or 3 hours of rain we get to witness that, oh, this city has been flooded after this amount of rainfall. So I think we need to focus more on us than to blame God. So now coming on to the right wing politics, I believe that right wing politics has emerged and has grown exponentially because of the left wing politics. They both are at odds, they both are at two ends. BJP represents right wing politics, South Indian parties represent left ideology. And it started in the mid 1930s, and the propounder of left wing politics was Amin Roy. First, he came up with this idea that left politics should have the place in Indian politics. He even went to abroad and got influenced by the leaders who were active back then in spreading communism. He was so much influenced that he came back and he established Communist Party of India. I mean, the ideology is not wrong, but the way the ideology adopts, I believe that that is flawed. I think communism needs to change its ways, I think those ways are not at all good for the society itself. I mean, believing in revolution is not wrong, but we need to be practical, and practicality says that no, we cannot afford such thing. Are the people ready to have revolution? That is the first question that needs to be answered. What is the mindset of the people? Do they really want this to happen? And if, let's suppose, if there were to be a revolution, can they sustain this revolution for a long period of time? Because this is not about just some havoc or creating chaos. This is about changing the regime in one stroke, changing the regime completely. It's like, if I define it in analogical terms, if right now it is day, then it is like changing it into night. So I think, what is the mindset of the people, I think that is more important. If communism has to be established in this country, and I don't believe that people are ready for this, and communism is not good for the health of the society. I mean, you cannot bring equality and you cannot enforce equality by means of violence. I mean, this is foolishness, nothing more than that. So coming on to the next topic, that is IPC and CRPC. First, IPC stands for Indian Penal Code and CRPC stands for Code of Criminal Procedure. IPC is a document which states all the offence, be it cognizable, non-cognizable, compoundable, non-compoundable, and CRPC states what is the procedure to be followed by the police, how a trial is going to be conducted by the magistrate, what are warrant trials, what are summon trials, what powers does a magistrate hold, what are the powers of police, in which case or in which matters police have the power to arrest a person without the warrant, does the police have the power to take cognizance of a crime or of an offense. If police is not following the procedure that have been laid down in the CRPC, then what will be the remedial aspect related to it? That is also one thing that has been mentioned in CRPC. IPC is a more lengthier document than CRPC, and recently the government has decided to amend both the acts. IPC was introduced in 1860 and CRPC was introduced in 1970. Before that, we were following the CRPC of 1898, which had been established and introduced by the British government. And there is a very important aspect related to CRPC, that what is the limitation? I mean, can a magistrate take cognizance of a crime even after a year? In what matters that a person can file a suit or a petition? So everything has been mentioned in CRPC, and I think it is the procedure, and procedure is more important. On the basis of procedure only, the court decides whether the investigation has been done properly or not. There shouldn't be any kind of haphazard. The IPC states the offense and what is the punishment mentioned. What is the punishment to be awarded for a particular offense? And what is the procedure to be followed by the police and the court? It is mentioned in CRPC. Now coming to the next topic, that is Rudul Shah versus State of Bihar. Well, this is a very famous case related to the habeas corpus, that Rudul Shah was a person who had been arrested and he had been in jail for 14 years, and the court did not release him even though the orders had been passed to release him. But it was the jail authority which mentioned in a suit, in an application before the court, that he is of unsound mind and he cannot be released. But later it was found out that he was not unsound. What was mentioned in the application was wrong, it was a wrong fact stated. So the Supreme Court took the cognizance and Supreme Court ordered the release of the petitioner, and the petitioner in a application asked for the ancillary awards, relief, some kinds of relief, that because he had no job, he was in not contact with his family members, and he has spent 14 years of life in jail, and he was inside the jail for an offense which he had not committed. So the Supreme Court took the cognizance and Supreme Court issued a so cause notice to the lower court asking why didn't he get released when there was no evidence that he had committed the crime. And this suit was filed under the Article 32 of the Constitution of India. So this is a very famous case, and I believe that it helped other petitioners to file a suit before the Supreme Court and asking for the justice, because this case reflects the police brutality, what kind of treatment is given a to a person who has been wrongly accused of an offense. So this is what has been happening, and this was the case of year 1983. He had been arrested in 1967, a long way back. So now let's talk about NCR and FIR. NCR is non-compoundable report, and FIR stands for First Information Report. It is the first report that is produced in a case, and FIR is registered only in cognizable offense, in case of cognizable offense. And if the police officer is of the opinion and he has reasonable evidence to believe that a cognizable offense has been committed, then he doesn't need the warrant from the magistrate. He can take the sumo moto cognizance and he can start the investigation from the moment he gets the information, and he can begin the investigation, and further he can proceed. So FIR states that who is the first informant against whom a crime has been committed, and who is responsible, who has been held responsible, who has committed an offense. And there is a description space given at the bottom in which the narration of events are noted down. It is the duty of the investigation officer to describe the events in a very proper manner so that the magistrate can understand what is the matter all about, what really happened. So, if the narration has not been done in a proper manner, then it is the duty of the magistrate to summon the first informant and to ask him to appear before the court. And on the basis of the inquiry done by the magistrate can order the police to investigate investigate the case in a fresh manner, in a different manner, and from a different perspective. Then there is a closure report, there is charge sheet. Closure report is filed under the section 169 of CRPC, and charge sheet is filed under section 173 of the CRPC. Closure report and charge sheet is different. They are different. Closure report is filed when the police do not have any evidence related to an accused, that whether he has committed the crime or not. So it is on prima facie by the magistrate either to accept the report or to reject the report, or to further order the police to investigate the case in a different manner or in a particular manner, and to make sure that this aspect do not remains untouched. Or the another option that is available to the magistrate is that he can issue a summon to the first informant and ask whether the investigation has been done is correct or not, or does he think that any other aspect needs to be touched upon. And the fifth option that is available to the magistrate is that he can reject the whole report and he can ask the police to investigate it, or to directly summon the accused to appear before the court, and then the magistrate can order an inquiry. This is not the beginning of the trial. The trial hasn't begun yet. The trial hasn't begun yet. So this is how differences are stated. So now the cognizable offense is an offense which is of more serious nature. So like murder, like rape, like dacoity, like robbery. So in these matters, the police doesn't need to have the warrant in order to arrest an accused. But in case of non-cognizable offenses, yes, the police need the warrant from the magistrate. If the police arrest anybody without the warrant from the magistrate, then that will be called an illegal act. That will be called an illegal arrest. And the petitioner can, or the accused, or the arrested person or individual can move to court and ask for action against the police. So it is the duty of the police to ensure that in such cases warrants are issued, and further they are authorized to make any movement, or let's say begin the investigation. Once the ends investigation ends when charge sheet is filed before the court under section 173. As I told you that NCR is filed under section 155 of the CRPC. How do we define whether a particular offense is cognizable or non-cognizable? One can say that it is of serious nature, but what is viewed is that what is the amount of penalty or imprisonment has been mentioned in the IPC. If the imprisonment is of 3 years or more than 3 years, or is 7 years, then such offenses are called cognizable offenses. And if the punishment is less than 3 years, then it is termed as non-cognizable offense. In non-cognizable offense, the accused has the right to get the bail, but in cognizable offense, it is upon the discretion of the judge whether to grant bail or not. There has been suicides in Kota. I was watching the news, and they were narrating the whole event, that how a student who was studying in class 11th and was preparing for IIT-G examination committed suicide. This is very shattering news that I got that day. And this is not just one particular incident, there have been a lot of incidents like such. And Kota has become a place where students come, and once they cannot hold the pressure, they commit suicide. I mean, life is all about a struggle. We need to struggle. I have been through such situations myself, but I never felt that I need to commit suicide. This is something, unprecedented. This had not happened before, and I had not heard such things before. There were events, incidents that I had heard, that such and such person committed suicide, was a student, was preparing. But I don't suppose that, I don't believe that a student needs to do such thing. If you are not doing well in this particular thing, you should try something else. Life is more important than a test. We need to understand that. We have not bound to pass an exam. That is what we need to realize. You can explore other avenues. There are a lot of opportunities in the market. That doesn't mean that if you are not doing well, or if you have failed. Look, the problem is on the side of parents also, that the parents don't realize that how to guide a child or a student. A student is what? A student is a child. When I had passed my 12th, I had not even completed 18 years of age. So legally I was a minor. I was not even a major. So we need to encourage the students, not to discourage them if they haven't done well in a particular subject. What happened? We will try again. What we need to do is that we need to identify where we are lacking. Suicide is not a solution to any problem. This shows that somewhere we have not understood the core of the issue. And recently, earthquakes have happened in Morocco, and a lot of people have died, and this is a very sad event. Few months back, same thing had happened in Turkey. More than 25,000 people died. I pray to God that this doesn't happen to any country, or it doesn't happen with anybody. Disaster has become a part of our life.